And FiveStack today is brought to you by groundnews.com. Get 40% off the Vantage plan right now by going to groundnews.com/FiveStack. That's groundnews.com/FiveStack. 40% off their Vantage plan. Hey, Dean.
Hey, buddy. Yeah. Nice to see you. Sorry I missed you yesterday. We got a little abbreviated one today, but it is all happening today. We've got a mass purge at the DNI. 36-year-old Bill Pulte, that rootin' tootin' son of a gun. He's firing all the spies today. We've got lots to talk about, including the end of the affordable housing program before it even started. And yeah. I mean, I'm ready to get into it, dude. Ready to get into it. All right.
Here we go. So, as you know, there was a housing bill that was crafted by Warren and other senators. Really a good bill by all accounts. It passed the Senate 85-5 and the House 358-32. A bipartisan deal that just doesn't happen these days on what is the most important thing for anyone facing an election: affordability and the cost of living. This answered some of those questions. Now, this morning, Trump canceled the signing of that bill until Congress passes the SAVE Act, which is his attempt basically to steal the November elections by voter ID legislation and proof of citizenship, plus that weird thing that he's doing where he's not sending ballots out to anyone who's not officially on the list that he's approved. Now, Thune, the Senate leader, is now having a lunch with the Senate Republicans, and Trump showed up at this lunch. They're having a meeting that obviously happened a while ago, but we don't have all the details of exactly what happened. I'm going to look them up as we talk here, but this was a confrontation, you could really say that, between Republicans and Thune. They don't always see eye to eye with the president, although they look like they do when they vote. But this was a real big one, as Trump really wants the SAVE Act, and the senators want their Housing Act.
Yeah, well, the Housing Act was supposed to help Americans get into a house, afford a home. It was a big deal. If you read the Housing Act, if you read the Affordable Housing Act, you'll understand that there are, representatives on both sides of the aisle that need something really, really to campaign on, right? The Democrats and the GOP, they got together like, let's make housing more affordable. What a fucking brilliant idea. And then Donald Trump today, everybody's lined up. The room was set. They had the desk. They had the little pens that he likes to sign. And he's going to sign the Affordable Housing Act. And he's like, no, forget it. Forget it. I'm not doing any of that shit until we pass the Save America Act. What is the Save America Act? Back in March, I wrote a piece on this, kind of trying to help people understand it, because we live in this world, the society, where you hear these things and you're like, well, that sounds bad. And you don't really look into it, or that sounds good because it's got a clever name like the Save Act. No, this is literally, the Save Act will preclude tens of millions of Americans from voting if you changed your name and you got divorced or you got married, if you don't have a valid passport, if you don't have a valid driver's license. And do you understand how many people in the United States do not have passports, driver's license?
Shocking to me, but yes.
It's half the fucking country. So you're talking about disenfranchising, in the neighborhood of 100 to 150 million voters. Now, most of those voters vote for progressive candidates, right? That's why he wants to gut mail-in balloting, which is also in the SAVE Act. And it's frustrating for so many people, that still can't, how anybody looks at a guy like Donald Trump holding hostage the United States of America. This is a fucking hostage taking over affordable housing, unless he's allowed to disenfranchise between 100 and 150 million fucking American voters. It is so asinine and so ridiculous and so stupid that it is childlike. This is a fucking temper tantrum.
But it's also criminal. I mean, what he's doing is basically the same thing that he's done with the Iran war. He doesn't care about the people who elected him in power. He just wants to do whatever he can to give his friends as much money as possible and to give himself as much money as possible and protect his future. So he needs to win this next election, or he's facing jail time, or worse, who knows what he'll get at the end of all of this. So he knows he has to win, and he'll sacrifice your homes to do that. And the same thing he did with the Iran war. He'll sacrifice the ability to go on vacation. He'll sacrifice your ability to feed your family, all to make his oil friends happy, to make his oil allies happy. None of this is for the American people. And it confirms what we've been saying all along for years now, This is a foreign agent. This guy's not working on behalf of the American people. He's working for Russia. He's working for Iran. I don't care who he's working for, but he's definitely not working for the American people. And if you don't see that, just look at this move today. How can you do this 100 and something days before an election? This is a popular bill, loved by everybody who passed it, and will really help Americans get into homes where there's a real shortage crisis. I mean, it's a slam dunk, a no-brainer for anybody except Donald Trump, who wants to steal the elections.
Yeah, and listen, it's good. This is a good news story. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it, doesn't sound like it, but when you have that kind of avarice towards the people you swore an oath to protect, when you take an entire country hostage like this over, your fear that you're going to lose the midterms and you're going to get wiped out. Mike Johnson, Mega Mike, is starting to say the quiet part out loud. Steve Bannon screaming it from the mountaintops. We're going to fucking jail if we lose. Mm-hmm. That is what today was all about.
One only hopes that that's what happens. The number 5 story in the countdown, because that was the number 1 story in the countdown. The number 5 story is all about Elon Musk, who 11 days after SpaceX went public and made him the first trillionaire in history, Elon Musk fell back under the line. He's faced a market sell-off of about $363 billion. And so he is no longer a trillionaire. If that makes you feel any better, it doesn't make me feel any better. But at least the SpaceX IPO has collapsed. It's not working.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's down another 13% today, 155.90. The profit taking's already come out of this, and everybody's just kind of clamoring for position, trying not to lose too much money. I read Justin Wolfer's Platypus Economist.
Yeah, he's great.
Justin Wolfer, he's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
He's like, in every single, I went for dinner with some hedge fund guys a couple of nights ago, just some friends of ours. It was like a dinner, and they all are saying the same thing. These are smart people that don't invest in stupid shit. And I asked one gentleman, whose name will go unannounced, just because I'm sure he wouldn't want me to talk about who he is. And I'm like, would you ever buy SpaceX stock? He goes, we had so many clients come to us and say, hey, I want to get in on the SpaceX stock. And we said, no. We said, if you want to buy this, we're not your investment crew. We're not your people. And I said, why? And he goes, because $1.77 trillion, that's the valuation of SpaceX right now. And you got one client, the United States government. You got one client. Mm-hmm. You have minimal runway for revenue. You're never going to grow. You're never going to realize that valuation.
Never.
The valuation is bullshit. Yeah. So, like, knowing that he lost $365 billion over the past 11 days, that's great. The problem is he's still got almost $1 trillion.
Yeah. He makes him the richest guy in the world still. And there's nothing that's going to take him off that yet. But, Tesla is also sliding, his other company. X is a bit of a nothing company. It really doesn't have anything in it, but it's now part of SpaceX.
Well, he's tied Tesla into SpaceX, and he's tied SpaceX into Grok, and Grok into Twitter.
And crypto. $1.8 billion in crypto is sitting on that balance sheet, which we all know may tank at any time. So that's what you get for being Donald Trump's buddy, Elon Musk. No longer the trillionaire. Everything Donald Trump touches loses at the end of the day. The number 4 story on the countdown, Mayor Zoran Mamdani put his capital on 3 insurgent House candidates and went 3 for 3 with Brad Lander burying Representative Dan Goldman by 30 points in Hakeem Jeffries' backyard. I notice every time Mayor Mamdani calls Speaker Jeffries by name, he says Congressman Jeffries. He's not calling him Speaker Jeffries. He's making a point there. These are the two sides of the Democratic Party that are squaring up against each other, and Israel is the fault line that runs between them. Of course, Lander was not supported by AIPAC, where Goldman was, and that's where the dividing line for most New York party voters was. Now, is Lander going to be a better candidate come the general election? Not likely, but the party has spoken, and this will be who he represents, that particular New York district, in this election.
I was really fortunate enough to be invited on to Cliff Schecter's show with David Schuster today, and I need to apologize to them because not only did I have enormous tech issues, but I lost the internet like literally 20 minutes into the interview, and this was the topic of conversation. What happened in New York yesterday, I'm fascinated by it. Between the Russian op trying to convince people on the left that the Jews are bad. and then watching people on the left go even further left, and embrace like the wholesale hatred of the Jewish state. Even Brad Lander did that, and Brad's Jewish, and to win this race. And it all sits with this group called AIPAC. And I did a piece on AIPAC today. It was kind of like an explainer because I needed to understand what AIPAC was, founded by a Canadian guy, as a matter of fact, who was a journalist here in Canada, went down to the States during the First World War. He said, I got to start something. Like all good things, this was supposed to be an organization that protected Jewish interests, Jewish people abroad and at home. And that was also, AIPAC was also really largely responsible for helping fund the refugee influx of Israelites and Jewish people after the First World War, when Israel became a nation state. And AIPAC has somehow turned into this literal rogue agent that represents some of the worst aspects of the Netanyahu government, people around him, a lot of the extremes. Like everything, things morph over time. And there are plenty of incredible pro-Jewish, pro-Hebrew, pro-Israel, pro-Israeli lobby groups that do incredible work, that all are so sick of what AIPAC has done in the United States to the voting registry and how people get elected in the United States, because they're not just about supporting pro-Israel candidates. They're about literally ruining the lives of people who disagree with what's going on, say, in Gaza. Now, that conversation needs to be nuanced, because I don't believe there is genocide in that area. I don't believe Israel and Netanyahu are committing genocide. I believe they're fucking war criminals, absolutely, but they have completely tied their wagon in Israel to AIPAC, and AIPAC is that through line that is not a foreign register. They literally operate with impunity, and they destroy lives if you say things like genocide, or you say what Netanyahu's doing they're just really an arm of the Netanyahu government in the United States of America. And so what happened yesterday was a repudiation of that. But watching people like Miss Valdez, and listen, I hate the extreme left as much as I fucking hate the extreme right. I really, really do. And that needs to be said. The victimization, again, yesterday, in some of the victory speeches that I heard from some of the winners that rode AIPAC and the hatred of AIPAC, including Brad Lander, who's Jewish. And listen, AIPAC's a shitty organization. But to not nuance that conversation responsibly just visits way more pain on Jewish people in the United States of America and around the world. And that's what I thought was really gross about this. The other part,
agree with you.
Mamdani, these people are uncorruptible. Like they're not in it because they're not taking money from big companies. So
I mean,
what's that?
I mean, every politician is corruptible. Every politician.
No, but these guys have presented themselves as it. Yeah. And we're in this kind of weird moment where they've kind of hitched their wagon to that and muckraking, right? Like, we're not going to take any money from Big Pharma. We're not going to take any money from Big Oil. We're not going to take any money from AIPAC or foreign agents, foreign registries. We're just not going to do it. And that's what I think people voted for. But in that mix, the anti-Semitism was fucking rife, and it was gross.
Yeah, I think the anti-Zionism, actually, which is what people are using as a proxy for anti-Semitism, is just not right. I mean, Israel does have a right to exist. No one's really questioning that. And by saying you're opposed to Zionism, you're sort of lumping everyone who might believe in the state of Israel with people who support a genocide or stuff like that. I mean, none of us who believe in the state of Israel, I was born there, I sort of have to believe in it, would say that we're supportive of Bibi Netanyahu, his actions in Gaza. But I do think that this has been kind of an easy ploy, for people who might feel disgruntled about Jewish people, or might looking for the other enemy, and then they're going after Jews and Zionism as the number one proxy. When you really think about it, Russia has done a lot more to damage America in the last 8 years than any other country in the last 50 years, you would argue, through what is a known operation to disrupt America and to steal our treasury. No one's going around saying, hey, the Russian state shouldn't exist. And no one's saying that. No one's even making Russia an issue in this year's election. But those people who are looking for a little bit of anti-Semitism or have a little bit of fervor in them around that are using that as a ploy against Jews. I think, Jews, I told my dad about this the other day. He says it's the oldest story. We've been through this so many times.
Yeah.
It repeats itself time and time again, and it always ends terribly. I mean, that is the kind of path that people who are choosing this path are going to take us. At the end of the day, if you're going to get to the November elections, all these people are going to be running as anti-Israel, and all the Republican guys are going to be running as pro-Israel. And what you're going to land up with is Republicans winning more often than not, because most people are going to side with Israel over everybody, over Muslims or whatever you want to call it, over the rest of the world that they view as their enemies. Let's call it that way, with the sort of the Iran complex.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, well said.
I think that's where the problem is. You're going to elect these people in the primaries, but it's not going to work in the general.
No, they're going to get crushed. And you know what? If they don't fucking chill out with their anti-Israel sentiment, you can be as anti-Netanyahu as you want. You can be as anti-Ben Giver, anti-Smotrich, anti-AIPAC. Absolutely. These are terrible people that completely misrepresent the whole. But like everything, the extremes always do that. And so if you can't find your way to understand that, and I go back to this stat all the time, because what does it affect domestically here in Canada and the United States? Is in Canada, Jews are less than 1% of the population. In the United States, less than 2% of the population. In both countries, the Jewish community account for 70% of all hate crimes. That is why I fucking was grossed out watching Miss Valdez give her victory speech the other day and start screaming about how she was going to free Gaza. She's not freeing Palestine. No. She's not freeing Gaza. But that war crime attitude that she has is the same one everybody on the extreme right has, right? And that's really the shitty part. So heads up, eyes forward. I know everybody's having a moment with Mom Dami, but I want everybody to take your focus off the Jewish community, continue to stand with the Jewish community, because they're just as disgusted by Netanyahu and what's going on in Israel. They're just as war-weary as you would think that they are. But more importantly, what you have to keep your eyes on and what you have to keep your head up when you're thinking about this is anybody who wishes pain and suffering on anybody else without having that nuanced conversation is just here to fucking gaslight you. And that is what Mom Dami has done. And he continues to do. I think he's doing it in a way that you can understand and kind of have that nuanced conversation with him when he talks about, he called AIPAC the dark monster that moves in the night. I don't disagree. I really don't.
It's not good.
But that's where it has to stop.
Yeah.
That's where it has to stop.
Now, the Democrat socialism piece of it is also interesting, because that is showing a rise in popularity, and it's coming from the base. And that could be just another issue, because again, if the Democrats swing towards the left too much, makes them harder to elect in the general. What we need is a smart, moderate, but still very effective policy platform to get into this next election. And if we land up with Mamdami's people left, right, and center, it's too far left, I think, for the general population. I'm just going to view it as communist, but that's just my personal opinion there. But Mamdani is a national figure now, and I think Jeffries needs to understand that he's in a turf war with this guy who's after the party.
He's going to get it. He's going to get it.
He is, I think. Gates and Grok. This is the number 3 story. The House Oversight Committee released both transcripts yesterday. Bill Gates describing being worked for blackmail and staying in Epstein's circle anyway. And then Leslie Groff, the assistant Epstein's scheduler of nearly 20 years, said she never knew what she was scheduling, which is, of course, total bullshit. Although she does talk about scheduling calls with Donald Trump all the way up to the election. And that is a big deal. The fact that she's confirming that Trump and Epstein didn't really fall out, that there were still in negotiations and talks all the way through to the election, suggests that Epstein's role in that election may be way, way bigger than we think it is right now. But both were really interesting. Gates finally confirming there was blackmail and admitting that there were 2 Russian women he had affairs with, Mila Antonova and Karima Nigmatulina. And both of those women we suspect were set up by Epstein in the first place. Epstein set up the honey traps. Bill Gates falls for them, and then Bill Gates tries to suggest that blackmail is coming if he doesn't let him manage his billion-dollar affairs, as he was the richest man in the world at the time.
It's amazing, isn't it? The richest guy in the world, smartest guy in the world, in his transcript that you're talking about, which was released today, how he's like, I kind of heard that he was like a sex offender, but I wasn't sure. If you hear that as the richest guy, the smartest guy in the world, aren't you Googling it? Like, aren't you looking it up?
Making
If you're the
him sleep
fucking
with
owner of
women
Microsoft, like,
in his home. I mean, maybe you just don't do that. I don't know. They all knew. Everybody knew. It was just impossible to avoid that piece of information. It just, he was very good at what he did. You know, I think he was able to convince a lot of people. And, you know, for Bill Gates, who could probably had no other outlet for his sexual needs, you know, probably found himself, you know, feeling completely bamboozled by these gorgeous women that were coming at him. I mean,
well, let's be honest. Listen, you know, when a really pretty lady approaches a nerd like that,
yeah.
like, you know, it's there's somewhere inside a guy like that that's like, it never got attention for women.
Yeah.
You know, he lived in his parents' garage making fucking computer boards with Steve Wozniak. Yeah. He became the richest fucking guy.
Sorry, Steve.
and the guy that owns the Clippers, whatever his fucking name is, I can't remember his name. Ballmer, Steve Ballmer. And these are nerds. These are geeks. These are guys that never got attention from women. You know, and you know, he finds himself in these situations where some guy is like, hey, how about this hot Russian babe? It's amazing how weak guys like that are too. You would think like a captain of industry, a life-changing, globe-changing, culture-changing, mega fucking billionaire, one of the richest guys in the world, would have the fucking wherewithal to go, Russian chicks, probably not a good idea. Epstein, probably not a good idea. I heard he was a criminal. I didn't Google it, though. It's crazy.
Microsoft. He had Bing. Maybe Bing didn't carry that.
Yeah, Bing
actually,
sucks.
at some point, there was that allegation was actually made that Bing did not have any Epstein details when you Googled on Bing. So maybe that's actually true. Who knows? We'll be later on, Ellie Leonard and P. Mitchell and I will go through these transcripts, hopefully around 5:30 this evening if we get them ourselves together. So join us then here on Narativ for those analyses.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and by the way, the Groff thing is Assistant Leslie Groff.
Yeah.
She knew exactly what she was doing. She's lying through her teeth. She knew about the massages. She knew about the pedophilia. She knew. She
worked with him way too long for that to have been a secret. Impossible.
Yeah.
But of course, nobody sees these things in hindsight. They were like, oh, I didn't see a thing. The number 2 story is the one you mentioned right off the top of the show. Bill Pulte ran the FHFA machine that produced criminal referrals against Trump's enemies. Now he's got the national intelligence entire institution under his belt in terms of he's running the ODNI. And he's now sworn in. He's got 400 people that he's already fired at the counterintelligence unit, and more are to come. Let's think about counterterrorism unit. Why would you fire counter-terrorists? Who would benefit that, Dean? Who would benefit from firing counter-terrorists?
Terrorists.
It's exactly right. So add 1 + 1 together, and you know exactly what Bill Pulte is doing.
Yeah. He was installed in the position on Friday, and I'm just going to read you something here. I believe it's from the Washington Post. Installed from the position on Friday, fired 6 intelligence agents, including career officials and political appointees, and other 45 officers from other spy agencies who had been lent to the office, were sent back to their home agencies, the former official said. Current and former officials said Mr. Pulte considered much deeper cuts, bigger structural changes like transferring the office's counterterrorism, counterintelligence centers to other departments or agencies. With all the wealth of experience he has in running government agencies and intelligence, he's like, I'm thinking of changing the structural integrity of the United States intelligence gathering and sharing institutions that have been around for hundreds of years. And by the way, I know fucking nothing about this. It'd be like putting me in charge of the DNI.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it while I'm at war with Iran, which is, of course, increasing the terror threats against the United States as we speak.
Nice, right?
So that's a good time to do that. That's a good time to scale back on terrorism. It's terrible. I mean, this is embarrassing what these guys are doing. And Donald Trump is really, making himself known to Americans. If you can't see what he's doing right now, you're really literally blind, because this guy is destroying America left, right, and center. And this attack on the intelligence community, which is, for all intents and purposes, the only guardrails we had, it's disappearing. Now, he won't stay forever. That's the good news, because he won't get it confirmed. But if he stays all the way to the elections, he's got enough power there and enough confusion that he can sow into the narrative that he could really tilt the election come November.
Yeah, he can create all kinds of problems for anybody that has a problem with objective reality, right? By just inventing whatever he wants to invent. If you remember back when Tulsi Gabbard, who was also maybe a little more qualified, not much, goes to Fulton County and she steals a bunch of boxes of ballots and voter rolls are a big thing. Talked about the Save America Act earlier. All of these things are so Donald Trump can avoid accountability in 2026. All of them. That's what Bill Pulte's here for. He's not here to protect the United States of America. He's not here to, make intelligence gathering better, more sophisticated in the United States of America. He is here to invent all kinds of bullshit, like the fucking reflecting pool. Only when it comes to the election, he's here for that big lie. And by the way, the National Guard is protecting a lie. They're not protecting the pool. That's what they're there for, by the way. That's a whole other subject. But that is everything that he sees, everything that you see this man do, whether it's putting Pulte in charge to purge all the spies and get rid of hundreds of people from the DNI and the ODNI, or if you watch him, try to get Todd Blanche to be the next Attorney General of the United States of America. Every single move that he has made, including getting rid of Pam Bondi, including getting rid of Tulsi Gabbard, getting rid of every female that has worked for him, is to get that circle as tight as humanly possible with some of the worst fucking morons you could possibly imagine, who are clamoring to lick the balls of an 80-year-old fucking dictator. That's what this is.
It's not only just licking the balls. This is corruption to the highest degree. I mean, obviously, when we look at the books later and we're able to really analyze all of this, Donald Trump is going to get a kickback from the pool guy. Donald Trump is going to get a kickback from the ballroom people. Donald Trump is getting kickback from everybody at the end of the day, including the Iranians, no doubt. So all of it is money making for him. That's all he really cares about at the end of the day. Yeah. There's a huge corruption thing that has been happening. We've been speaking about it here on Narativ and on Dean Blundell for, oh my God, like I feel like since we started and beyond.
2 years.
10 years in some ways. And they keep proving us right. There is just corruption to the nth degree. Everything they're doing is designed to enrich themselves and their foreign partners. And if there's a theme to today's show, it's the fact that everything is tied to foreign intelligence. There's just not a single story that we can look at today that isn't guided by the forces of a foreign government and their interests, whether it's Iran, whether it's the Epstein stuff, whether it's everything is just made by foreign governments. And if there's a future for America, you'd think that the one thing that we could all agree on is that there is no room for foreign interference in any way, which includes foreign funding in any way in the American election system. We've lost $80 trillion because of it in the last 50 years. And we'll lose a lot more unless we can stop foreign agents and foreign countries from interfering in our politics. That includes allies and it includes enemies. It includes absolutely everyone. The only people who should be involved in American politics are the American people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, you nailed it in an incredible summary of what we talked about today. I'm not anti-Israel. I am not anti any country. I am pro-democracy, and what you're seeing is the steady erosion of a once great democratic country, that shining city on the hill, because certain politicians, people, and institutions in the United States just could not say no to the fucking money that came in from other countries. Mm-hmm. They could not say no to what that money would do for them, and Donald Trump is fucking the prototype of what is wrong when it comes to foreign interference in the United States of America. You nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
That is the show today. That is the FiveStack. Ended a little early, but that's because we both have things to do. But Dean, you've got so much good stuff going on at deanblundell.substack.com. I'm hooked on everything you're doing. What do you have?
Oh, are you really? You're hooked, are you? Ah, he's hooked. I love
Dean Blundell. Although, by the way, my paid subscription is sort of updated, and I wonder if you could talk to somebody.
Well, the interesting part of that is that you don't need a subscription. I don't really paywall anything, so you're gonna.
I did paywall from I can't send you messages on your chat, and I couldn't do.
You got my phone number anyway. It's so nice of you to gloss me. I appreciate it. Go to deanblundell.substack.com. I've got a really cool explainer on what AIPAC is and why they're such a major factor in what happened in New York yesterday. And it's very nuanced, but it also is very responsible. So you can go read it. It's titled "Why Does Everyone Hate AIPAC?" I'll explain. We explain the whole thing about what happened in the United States. Mamdani went 3 for 3, but obviously concerning because of the anti-Israel sentiment. And Ukraine's absolute incredible turnaround in Crimea and what they did yesterday to the Kerch Bridge, My God, they're going to win this whole fucking thing. And
They are going
they've
to
got
win, aren't
everybody.
they?
Belarus moved all of their equipment from the border. They're like, yeah, no problem. We'll move it. Like, everybody's scared of Ukraine, and they should be. And of course, the $14 million puddle, how Trump painted a national monument, lied about it, and then had a whole bunch of guys go there to scare the shit out of kids, moms, and seniors, arrest people so he could protect that lie. So if you go to deanblundell.substack.com, you can read all about all of those things today. 50% off your annual subscriptions. Absolutely, please, if you can. Share as much as you possibly can. This is the kind of information that is very difficult to find, and the more that you share it, the more you subscribe for your paid. Paid, of course, gets us to the top of the algorithm and gets this in front of more people. I would highly encourage you to do that if you can, and if you can't, you want to stay free, I don't care. I just am really grateful for the community that continues to share this kind of content in a responsible way so that we can inform people. And I know my friend Zev Shalev feels the same way over at narrative.org. What do you got cooking over there today, kid?
We've been investigating the Zorro Ranch again because there's so many interesting things that happened there. Now we've finally put to rest what has been quite a controversy about what happened to those microwave towers. Why Epstein had these industrial grade microwave towers above the ranch that was beaming high-speed internet back and forth. We've got all the details. We've been able to figure out exactly what those were. People, you said they were military grade. They're not military grade. These are commercially available microwave towers. They're for high-speed internet. But that also raises a lot of questions. Like, why did he need 1 gigabyte of bandwidth up and down all the time if all he's doing there is having some guests over at his horse ranch? Obviously, there's a lot more going on under the ground at Zorro. There was, and with the microwave files that we've unveiled in the last couple of days, really speak to why that happened. And I just did an interview with Eddie Aragon before we got on the air here, which will be on the site a little later on, so people can really dig into what we found out about these microwave files and why he needed all that bandwidth. There's also the transcripts we spoke about, Gates and Groff, and you can read about what both of those are saying in those transcripts. And there's a lot more coming in the next few days. A big sale as well coming on Narativ. So all of that is coming up.
There you go. That is my friend Zev Shalev. This has been the FiveStack, the abbreviated version. We're going to try and hum along and maybe keep it to 30 minutes because I got to tell you, after the first 30, I start to gloss over no matter who I'm talking to. The older I get. The older I get, the more the less I can pay attention to anything that doesn't interest me. And when I get past the 30-minute mark, like I watch these people that do 3-4 hour podcasts, I'm like, how the fuck do you sit there and do that?
Well, I mean, I've seen you do work like that long, and you do 3 or 4 hours every day. And I thought it was interesting. I thought you liked what I was saying.
Oh, God, you're always interesting, dude. You know how much I love my Zev. You know how much I love you. I can talk to you all day long.
You see, that's how I feel. I could talk to you for hours. We could do.
But I like a tidy 30 minutes is a lot of fun too.
Also lovely. Also lovely. It's great to see you, Dean. I know you got to go. I've got to go. And thank you for watching at home.
And thank you to our friends at Ground News. Again, groundnews.com. They're our partner. Make them yours. I've been a client of Ground News for a long, long time. A lot of people ask me, Dean, where do you get all this information that I can't find? Groundnews.com. And you too can be just like me. Get the Vantage plan. I've been a client of theirs before they became a partner of ours here. A nice little Canadian company that's saving the world with real information, Blindspot, bias, all the things you need to know. And then they give you the goods so you can decide yourself. 40% off when you use promo code FiveStack, groundnews.com/FiveStack. Go there today. Keep them in your pocket. They're your Sherpa. Thank you to our friends at Ground News. Thank you to my friend Zev Shalev. Narrative.org. Give this man a subscription, and we will see you tomorrow around 3 o'clock, everybody. Thank you.